Hey guys, just from the start, I want to make something really fucking clear, okay? I fully expect an altcoin season to happen. I got to start out that way because I don't want this to come across as a FUD or a bearish type video. It is not at all meant to be. But if you haven't noticed, I know you've noticed. A lot of people question like every other freaking day, is alt season going to happen? It's over. The bear market's here. The bull run's done. We've had how many accusations of World War III happening this year? You know, Trump in China goes ahead, release it, and has a penis size contest every other week, and it makes everything go up and down. And it gets exhausting. I get it. The sentiment is low. And the one thing I don't understand from all this is why are people so worried? And yes, I understand to an extent of we watch our money and our financial worth go up and down like a roller coaster. It is what it is. It's what crypto's like. Enjoy the fucking ride, guys, right? But what I have to speculate then is a lot of people I know don't actually have a plan when they invest. The plan's to make a shit ton of money, which is not a plan. That's just saying I'm going to keep going until either I decide to sell or greed tells me not to, and I hope that it keeps going up so I can sell. Not a plan. So most people don't have an exit plan to begin with. And then those who do you have a backup plan? Like in the small chance that alt season doesn't happen, or alt season happens, but it's later than what we think we want, and we believe that the bear market came. An example is, let's go with the super cycle or extended cycle theory. And I do not believe this, by the way, but what if alt season doesn't start until Q3 of 26? Like there's no indicators or reason why the business cycle is going into global supply, regulations, ETFs, all the stuff. There's a lot of things that's saying it's going to happen from now till February. But what if it goes a lot longer? Do you have a backup plan? Or what if your nerves just can't handle it? Do you have a plan other than just getting the hell out and selling everything and hope that you have more green than red? Right? I encourage you to. I have a backup plan, which is what I want to go over today. And my whole goal is to never use it. But at a certain point, I need to protect my money because I'm not planning on keeping everything I own for long periods of time. So this is also a style of investor difference, right? I am predominantly a hodler for now. It's going to change after the cycle, I'm pretty sure. But like I hodl probably about 70% of my tokens. I like swing trading. And you know what? Swing trading's done me better overall than most hodls. H-bar's done me well. Arrow's done me well. But otherwise, it's been a lot more swing trading. But those are the way I look at it. And I'm really only in one, maybe two crypto for the long term right now. So just real quick perspective, because we have different risk aversion, different amounts of our wealth into the market, different knowledge bases, all this kind of stuff, right? Different plans, timeframes, etc. So do not copy my plan. But hopefully this stems some ideas and thoughts for yours, and it's just so that we can have a backup plan so we can sleep easier at night. That's the main point. I didn't make this plan so that way I have to use it. Again, the goal is to not to. But at the very least, if things don't go the way I think it will, because sometimes we get some freaking surprises, right, guys? I still have something to fall back on, so I still make money. And at the end of the day, I would rather think, oh, at least I could have made more money, but I still did well versus fuck, I round tripped, I lost money. So that's why I have this. That was a much longer introduction than I planned, but I'm just trying to get ahead of, I guess, a few future comments I already hear. But let's get right into what my contingency plan is, and I'll be very curious what your guys' thoughts are. And if you're full belief that there's going to be an alt season, there's 0% chance. I think there's like 5% chance or less that there won't be. And you don't have a plan, that's fine. I'm protecting myself a little bit more on that one. That's me. Let's talk about it. All right. So, if for some reason the business cycle, the rate cuts, quantitative tightening ending and quantitative easing eventually beginning, global economics, end to global supply, everything that says that we're going to have a good bull run, if all that's bullshit, what's my backup plan? Now, so I've got generalized dates, right, of when I'm going to start implementing. There's pretty much two big parts to this. Right? One is late December, right essentially around Christmas, and the next one is late January around the third or fourth week. I've got different steps I'll start taking. And what I think I did well in this, I hope to never find out, is have it set so that way if I think there ends up being no alt season and then I'm wrong again and we have one late, I can still get back in very well. And so I'm going to try to explain what my thought process is on this with everything. So as of now, I'm hodling until I can sell everything, right? I've gone over this with you guys a few times before, is that I've got an Excel sheet all lined up and sell limits already set for when my crypto hit different ranges. I'm going to sell a percentage of it, right? I did that once with HBAR over a year ago now at this point, when it hit around like 31, 32 cents, I think it is, I sold. I got a solid, a little over almost 5.5x on it. Cool. It started me a whole other position. I plan on continuing to do that, right? Each crypto, I have a couple of numbers marked, pull a percentage out when it hits there. Okay, great. And with the current plan, I actually have about 5% of each crypto that'll hold for a moon bag, so to speak, in case it goes a lot further than I think. And then if I get stuck with 5% of each of my crypto, okay, cool, whatever. That's more than fine. And then the goal is to rebuy in the bear market of whatever the hell I want, which is probably me linear and base heavy. Okay. So initially I was hoping to start selling in like end of September and October. Didn't happen. If you guys couldn't guess, didn't happen. Okay, fine. I'm flexible. And I don't want to lower my prices to sell at that I described, right? I'm more willing to move some crypto into others if I think they're safer for a pumpamental catalyst and everything. But again, if by mid-December, if there's no obvious progress towards an alt season, meaning that we're not really seeing some of the larger alts really start firing, right? I'll be looking at like the top 25, top 50 at this point. They should be starting to move by mid-December, right? With most theories on the cycle, we should be having that happening by the end of December. So let's say they're not. Let's say Bitcoin dominance hasn't really moved. Ethereum still hasn't really cleared an all-time high. And the generalized crypto market cap is still like under 4.5 trillion. Here's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to sell everything that I'm profited in. For example, if you put $1,000 into a crypto and it's up 60%, so you're at $1,600 there, I'm removing the $600, right? So I'm back down to my initial investment amount. So this way I'm essentially safe on money, depending on how much you've put up before, if any. For me personally, I'm almost clear of all my investments at this point. I've pulled out profits to take the initial investments out. So at this point, if I pull any profits, I should be in the green. And at the worst case, if the next day everything goes to fucking hell, I'm still protected. I still made some money. Okay. And then I'd save that in USDC. So I can either put it back into some large caps as they start moving up. I can do it for swing trading if I'm not sure about the volatility, or if there ends up being a more delayed start to alt season, I've got dry powder in there to put back into the market because I don't plan on leaving. I just plan on changing what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. For some of my micro caps at that point, if I'm in the red, because that's possible in this hypothetical scenario, I could be red on like my micros like Foxy, for example. There's a chance that my bottom two crypto I might sell just to de-risk a little bit. That one's going to depend a little bit on the sentiment of the market and how much they've been slaughtered. Right? If they're down 40% plus, I'm just keeping them. Right? I'd rather just round trip to see if they go up later because I don't buy what I think are garbage coins. If they're down just slightly, I might sell them and put into something else I think is going to move faster. This will be, I'll have to decide at the time type of thing, meaning if Foxy is down 8% and there's a narrative pump right now for one of my larger crypto, I might move that Foxy into there to get more than the 8% back if I'm confident with it. Then that's a possibility. I'm not teasing Foxy. I've got a lot of good conviction into it. I'm just here to make money, right? Nothing personal to anything. And fully recognizing that micro caps usually run last, if I sell them for a small loss in this plan, I should have time to get back into them if we have a real alt season later. So I'm also fine with that, right? It's risk versus reward, guys. Now that sounds well and wonderful. And at that point, I would still be set up with my large cap still having money, already pulling profits out, and I'll have USDC on the side to hop in for if alt season happens a little later than late December. What if we go into late January and there's still nada? Well, then I guess I hit phase 2 of my save my economic ass plan. At that point, by late January, if we are not seeing any large moves or the buildup at least of alt season, then there will be some actual legitimate fears, in my opinion, that we won't have one. Right? By end of January, we should see a lot of the indicators of a building of the top of the market at the very least. We really should. But at that point, if there's nothing, I'll start questioning things. But I'll be a little annoyed and a little disappointed, but I won't be too scared because I've got this as a backup to make some money still. So what would I do? I would go back and I'd do the same thing as before. I would sell everything that's in profit because there's a chance things have gone up in that month. And again, take some profits off the table. No one's ever gone broke by taking profits, people. And at that point, I would probably sell almost, if not all, of my micro caps because those are what bleed. Those are where people lose the most money because they're less likely than the large caps to come back up, not just in that year, short or moderate term, but also long-term and future cycles. So I'd probably end up then selling my micro caps, even if it's for a loss. Maybe not ASM because I think that they're building something, but I would have to wait and see on that one. Because if it goes down so far, if I decide to buy more in the bear market, I'm okay with that too. It would just lower my average for future profits. Okay, fine. I would end up then also selling most of my large caps. This is where I'd start liquidating my portfolio, I guess. Right? I would keep quant because I don't plan on selling it. H bar at that point, an aerodrome, good chance there. I would start selling those too. I would feel out the market of where I think it's going. I'd check the charts. I'll talk to you guys all about that if this ever happens. But I'd start pulling out, making sure I got money, and I should already be in the positive at that point because of the way I've set things up. And as I see things go down, if it stabilizes, again, I still have, in this case, a lot of USDC to put back into the market. I'll still be studying crypto. I'll still be looking at charts, and I'd probably be looking at, okay, what large caps are going to have their last burst? Because even as a bear market happens and in the deep of it, there's still some volatility. There's just less frequent, less intense. So I would try to pick my battle, so to speak, and look into other large caps, ones that have strong utility, because at this point, I would think we're in a bear market or going into one. So I'd only put money into crypto that I think is going to last and are getting close to the bottom where I'm comfortable buying it. So this could be things like Solana, more quant, buy back into HBAR if it's gone down at that point. Maybe look at XRP, look at some of the large ones, Chainlink, ones that are going to be around, or at least that I think will. So that way, if it does go, everything goes down to the shitter, I'm at least holding good crypto that I can start building my bear market portfolio. No reason to wipe out everything in this case. I noticed that there was like 2 steps. I guess then there's a third step, is that by April, after US tax season, if nothing's happened at that point, and we don't have any new information that we don't have now, there's no alt season. The 4-year cycle is dead and broken. At least that would be my opinion right now for in that hypothetical case. So I would start my bear market strategy in April, which I can make a larger video about this, describing it to you guys. Again, it could change. Information changes every freaking day in crypto. But in short, I'm going to hodl less coins specifically. I don't think I'm going to mess with hodling too many microcaps. From this cycle, what I've learned is the microcaps go down to bear market prices several times during the year after Bitcoin already launched and started doing well. So there were so many buying opportunities for microcaps. There was no reason to do it early. They're more sporadic anyway. They're good for swing trading, which is what I would use them for. I would start looking into staking heavily on large ecosystems and maybe a speculative one like Supra if it survives. But this is where I'd be putting a lot into Linea and Base, maybe Solana as well. Start building up my portfolios in those ecosystems because I have full faith that Linea and Base specifically is going to be around for a while. And I would look into their early projects and probably stake or liquidity, maybe liquidity pools in the bear market, depending. And I'll start passively building up my portfolio that way. And I'd want to keep only 1 or 2 hodlers long term, quant and H bar, maybe a third one, maybe another one instead of H bar. There's a little list I have, but it's just having a plan and strategy in case my initial plan and strategy doesn't work. You guys are going to hear me talk a lot, regardless of how this cycle goes, a lot about farming airdrops and everything, probably mid next year. You'll see a lot more videos about swing trading and probably technical analysis and getting into liquidity pools more, depending on the liquidity of whichever ecosystem I'm looking at. And just looking at compounding gains, couple of percentage over time every month in crypto. So that's my bear market strategy in a nutshell. So guys, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts in general? When do you think alt season is going to happen? And honestly, how often have you questioned it? Right? I'm curious. Right. And I do highly encourage you guys to have an exit plan and to have a backup plan. It doesn't have to be as detailed as mine. It can be far more detailed than mine. I would just have something because it's going to help support your mindset when you see things go up and down or when you start questioning life and your economic choices. It's good to know that you have a way out other than quitting. And that's really why I do this. To me, it just helps knowing that, well, if this doesn't work, or what if I'm dead ass wrong? Okay, I'm still safe. And that's the whole point for this. So hopefully you guys got something from this. If you're still watching this, you might as well press the like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys again soon. Thank you for being here. Peace.